Imagine such a chessboard where the pawns are living humans and the moves of trillions of dollars. A dream of such a world was shown, where in the middle of the sea, new Dubais and Singapores will stand. Magnificent motorways, sparkling airports, and massive seaports. A promise was made to string together more than 150 countries of the world in such a thread, which was called the Project of the Century. But today, those very shining dreams are turning to ruins. Somewhere there is silence on the roads, and somewhere foreign flags are waving at the ports. This story is not about any natural disaster. This is a story of a calculated strategy, which the world today knows by the name of Belt and Road Initiative. But the truth hidden behind this is not development, but such a trap of control that seems impossible to pierce. Year 2013. China's President Xi Jinping presented a vision, the vision of bringing the Silk Road back to life. The objective stated was that Asia, Africa, and Europe will be connected through railway lines and highways. About more than 140 countries came drawn into this golden trap. China started splurging money open-heartedly, $1.2 trillion. This was the money that was given to those poor countries whom the World Bank or IMF, considering them dangerous, had refused to give loans. China came disguised as a messiah, but in its pocket, along with maps of development, were also documents of slavery. The truth was that an army of engineers had become ready with China, for whom work in their own country was ending. It had to keep its industry alive and establish its dominance over the world. The strategy was clear: give loan, build infrastructure, and when that country is unable to repay the loan, then capture its land and its sovereignty. This was given the name debt trap diplomacy, meaning the trap of debt. The very first and biggest victim of this trap became Sri Lanka. It was shown a dream that was far bigger than its status capability. Hambantota port in the middle of the Indian Ocean. Sri Lanka already had a famous port like Colombo, but China lured it with making a new hub. A massive loan of $1.3 billion was given, but the conditions were extremely strict. Only Chinese companies will do the work, and if the money is not returned, then China will have the power to capture the project. The result? Hambantota port did become ready, but no ships came there. Barely 30-40 ships in a year. When there was no earning from the port, Sri Lanka was unable to pay the installments of the debt. In the year 2017, such an agreement happened that shocked the entire world. Sri Lanka had to hand over that massive port of theirs to China for 99 years. Today, the entire earning of that port goes to China, and Sri Lanka has lost a part of its own land forever. But China did not stop here. Look at the small country of Africa, Zambia. In the desire to modernize its economy, it handed over its destiny into China's hands. By 2020, 43% share of Zambia's total foreign debt was with China alone. As soon as the blow of COVID hit and the demand for copper decreased, Zambia was ruined. It became the first African country to declare itself a defaulter. China's conditions were clear. No money, then the property is ours. In the middle of Europe, in Montenegro also, this very game was played. Taking a loan of $1 billion, such a highway was started to be built that goes nowhere. Cutting through mountains, a road of only 41 kilometers was made, and the country's treasury became empty. Today, Montenegro's debt has reached up to 80% of its GDP, and it is spreading hands for help. In Sri Lanka itself, there is another example, Matala Rajapaksa International Airport. Built at a cost of $200 million, this airport today is called the world's emptiest airport. On the runway, instead of airplanes, sometimes elephants and wild animals are seen wandering. In South America's Ecuador, China built a massive dam, Coca-Codo Sinclair. This $2.6 billion project can collapse at any time today. Chinese contractors ignored quality, and today, on the walls of that dam, there are more than 17,000 cracks. This is not just a waste of money, but a looming danger for thousands of lives. And then comes the talk of Pakistan. CPEC, meaning China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, that $60 billion project, which was described as the one to change Pakistan's destiny. Today, people there are yearning for electricity and water. Gwadar Port, which was once Pakistan's hope, is today in China's occupation. The conditions of the agreement are such that China takes away 91% of the earning coming from the port. Only 9% comes into Pakistan's hand. In the name of development, Pakistan today has been buried under the burden of China's debt. But did this invincible-looking plan of China remain successful? Perhaps not. The world is waking up now. Italy, which was the only country of G7 that had taken part in this project, considering it its biggest mistake, decided to get out. Countries like Malaysia, Myanmar, Bangladesh, and Nepal also have either canceled projects or have started talking again on their conditions. America and Europe also have now started their transparent programs so that poor countries can be saved from this dark trap of China. The matter of surprise is that China itself is also seen getting trapped in this game. The loans of billions and trillions of dollars that it had distributed, they are not coming back. The projects which it has captured, the expense of running them is now becoming a burden on China's own slowing economy. Even then, China is not ready to back down. It is now bringing BRI 2.0 with new masks of digital and green energy. It has strengthened its stake in more than 100 ports around the world. If this network is completed, then 65% of the world's population will be forced to walk on paths made by China. This new avatar of Silk Road is a road of development or chains of slavery. This decision has to be made by those countries which even today are paying the price of golden dreams with their sovereignty. Remember, when the power to repay debt ends, then ownership right also ends. And China is the biggest player of this very silent war. History is witness. The empires which could not be conquered with swords, they are being brought to knees today through papers and installments. The question is not that whose is the next turn. The question is that whether by then it will not have become too late.